You know, my entire life, I have been quite a Nintendo fan. I wouldn't say I've been a Nintendo fanboy, but since I was a little kid, I always kind of just loved Mario and loved the Mario games particularly, and just Nintendo in general. I kind of grew out of it as I got older. I'm not really a Nintendo adult, but I still, check in time to time. Sometimes I'll have a nostalgia trip. Sometimes I'll check out the new games that come out. But, in general, I do keep up with Nintendo. I bought a Switch too. I've used it quite a bit. But, I just can't defend it anymore. What you're seeing on screen right now is a combo pack of Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2 for $69.99. Now, normally, a game price of $69.99 wouldn't be that big of a deal if, for one, it was an original title, and for two, if it wasn't simply a port. Something that kind of bothers me with this whole thing is, Activision as a company is very greedy, right? And that's not new. Everyone kind of knows that. But they still released Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 Plus 4 this year for $49.99, for $20 cheaper. And that's a full remaster of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. That's essentially a brand new game. That game isn't even remotely close to the original in terms of the regular content flow and the way that it looks, and even the way that it feels. That is, it's a remaster, but it's, new. It's not just a simple re-release, but they still charge $49.99. Now, when they did Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, in 2017, that game launched for $39.99. And that game is 3 full complete games remastered from the ground up in HD. And then soon after, they did Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which was also $39.99, fully remastered, 3 full games. So why is Nintendo, the giant company that it is, charging $69.99 for 2 ports of these games that came out 15 years ago? That is fucking ridiculous. Really, really fucking ridiculous. I don't watch every single Nintendo Direct. I don't. But I generally will go and retroactively check out what was announced during that Direct that I didn't watch. Or sometimes I will watch the whole thing, but I didn't watch this most recent one. Instead, I just looked to see what was announced, and initially I was like, oh, Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2, that's cool. Before I knew the price, that's cool. I have Mario 3D All-Stars, which comes with Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, but no Mario Galaxy 2. That game also is 3 games that are all ports, but that game released for $60 a few years back, so, at least that is not as big of a scam. And I don't think anyone really complained about that too much, even though that was a limited run, which was a bit fucking weird. And especially knowing that Mario Sunshine is going to come to the GameCube version of Nintendo Switch Online, and Mario 64 is already on the original, and now we're getting the re-releases of these games. So, my point, though, is that I didn't watch it, but I looked back at it and saw this announcement, and I saw the Mario Galaxy movie announcement, which is cool. But also, I saw the fucking Virtual Boy for Nintendo Switch announcement. Now, what the fuck are we doing? Virtual Boy for Nintendo Switch Online, first of all, as a concept, as an idea, is fine, whatever. But in order to play the shit, you need to spend $100 on the Virtual Boy peripheral. Now, the thing is, they said later on they're going to release a cardboard one, that I guess would be the more budget option. We don't know how much that's going to be yet. Maybe we do. I don't think we do, though. That is fucking ridiculous. First of all, to even access it, you need to spend $60 a year on the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service. Not only that, but you need to pay $100 for this fucking peripheral to even play the shit. So now you have an app that you'll be able to access if you have Nintendo Switch Online, but you will not be able to do anything with the app unless you pay $100 extra for the peripheral to play games that are known to make people sick because of the way the Virtual Boy was. And not to mention games that came out 30 fucking years ago. And we're really charging $100 for this shit-ass peripheral just to even play the shit. That is fucking ridiculous. That is fucking stupid. And Nintendo is just absolutely scamming their fans by releasing something like this. Now, generally speaking, I understand that games can get more expensive over time. You know, that makes sense. It's, you know, the big 25. There's a lot of inflation. There's a lot of different things going on in the world. You know, the tariffs, the whatever. It makes sense that games and game systems and game peripherals would get a little bit more expensive. But releasing a fucking Virtual Boy peripheral for $100, I don't think is something that we even really need. I mean, the amount of niche people that were calling for the Virtual Boy to be released on the Switch 2, I mean, I don't know how many there were, but I'm sure it was a pretty quiet minority. Not a whole lot of people. But that's what we're getting. We're getting that instead of brand new original titles. Something that I think is okay is Donkey Kong Bonanza being released for $69.99. Now that's fine. It's a brand new original game that is releasing in 2025 for $69.99. That makes sense. It's a fully fledged video game. It's a full thing. There's already a little bit of DLC for it. That's kind of ridiculous. But I digress. Okay, that isn't that bad. That's, you know, just a full price new game. And apparently the game's pretty good. I haven't played it myself, but apparently it's pretty good. Now that's acceptable. And I don't see a lot of people complaining about that price because that makes sense and that's acceptable. Now what I find to be a little bit less acceptable is the fact that Mario Kart World for the Nintendo Switch 2 is $79.99. Now you can see, already downloaded, I own the game because I got the Switch 2 bundle that came with it. But the fact that this game is $79.99 is fucking crazy. That is $20 above, you know, what the MSRP was for Nintendo Switch 1 games for a game that I think is good, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it's Mario Kart. I played it a good little bit whenever the console launched, and that's about it. There isn't a big esports Mario Kart World community in general, for any Mario Kart, is what I mean. And, you know, there's a lot of issues that I have with Mario Kart World. Maybe that'll be for a different video, but regardless, charging $79.99 for what is, you know, and as much as I love Mario Kart, what is essentially another kart racer type game. Not bottom of the barrel, necessarily. I mean, it's one of the higher quality kart racers out there. But I don't think Mario Kart as a series is necessarily known for the best mechanics or the most innovative anything, actually. I think that Mario Kart is mainly so popular because Mario is so fucking popular. And, you know, it was kind of early to a lot of the kart racer game crazes that have happened over the years. But $79.99, it's not that good. I really like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You know, I played that a lot on my Switch 1, and I got it around when it came out, and it was $59.99. And I played it a good bit, and it was enjoyable. I don't even know if that game was worth $59.99, even looking back on it. I mean, $80 is just kind of crazy, especially when we live in a world where they could have done a free-to-play model, but then that's another can of worms, and people would complain about microtransactions. I mean, I personally don't care that much when there's cosmetic microtransactions in a free-to-play game. That's how they fucking make money. But I would have, you know, honestly been happier if they reduced the game price to half, you know, to $40, and, you know, $40 game that has some light microtransactions might not be that big of a deal. But $80 for a game that is, I mean, kind of complete, but just, I don't know what it is about the game. Something feels like it's missing. Maybe it just doesn't feel like a big enough evolution for Mario Kart 8. Whatever. I'm not going to sit here and talk about Mario Kart World forever, but my point is $80 is a lot of fucking money for it. But the egregious pricing doesn't really end there. And in fact, I will say, whenever the announcement initially came for Mario Kart World, when the announcement initially came for the pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2 and the pricing of the games for it, I was kind of defending it a little bit, because, and I retract what I'm about to say and what I'm about to describe. I'm not saying in defense of Nintendo, because I have now learned that that was a stupid fucking defense. But I'm still going to make the case that I had previously made, just for example purposes. So, I was not alive in 1991. I was born in 2004. But you can still figure out how much different things cost from back then in comparison to now. So I have an inflation calculator right here. Now, the source is this Reddit post right here. I don't want to X this out. It might show my Reddit username. Not that I have anything weird on there. I just don't necessarily want that public. But you can see right here that these games, Tennis, Pilot Wings, F-Zero, SimCity, whatever, $59.99, and that was like the cheapest. Paperboy 2, $73. That's kind of insane, by the way. That's kind of wild. John Madden Football, $69.99. Anyway, point is, I just assume, okay, how about the going price for these games is $59.99, all right, for the Super Nintendo games. Okay, so in the inflation calculator, we go 1991, which was when the Super Nintendo released, and what it would cost now in 2025. So one $59.99 game would be about... No, that's actually wrong. I had a different thing in there. It would be about $142.70. And actually, I just realized it says this is 1992, so we'll change it to 1992. So just cuz. So even though, 1992, a year later, still $138.53 for one video game, in equivalent money, meaning that, $60 back 34, 32, 33 years ago would have about as much spending power as $138 would today. And that's a lot of fucking money for a video game. So my thought was, well, I'm not that surprised that they raised the price, because, we're almost lucky that it didn't get even higher, because this was a really long time ago and games were over double but about double what the $69.99 pricing is today, in terms of the way that inflation has went. So, yeah, maybe it's not so bad, because the price is, a lot higher now. Or it was a lot higher back then, is what I mean. But I realized a few things since I initially made this defense. First of all, that price tag was a little bit more warranted for a few different reasons. Nintendo, back then, 30 years ago, was not nearly as big of a company as it is today. There wasn't as much user trust in the video game industry in general. 10 years prior, there was the whole E.T. video game crisis that happened. And, the general trust that video games were going to be anything more than just a fad, wasn't big. There wasn't a lot of trust in that idea. So, you'd think maybe they'd sell it cheaper, but you also have to consider that means the actual sales figures for these games wasn't going to be as high. The profit margins weren't going to be as high because of that. And also, game development now, while in a lot of ways is harder than it's ever been, it's also easier than it's ever been. There's a lot more tools and ways that game developers can make new original games in the Big 25 that just did not exist back then 30 years ago. And Nintendo, just as a company back then, wasn't selling 10 million copies of the new Mario game, at least not on launch. And so when you realize that, and you also realize there wasn't as much demand for it in the way that there is today, it kind of doesn't justify the price that we have now for these games. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, if Mario Kart World is $80, $90, $100, if it's fucking $10, they're probably still going to turn a profit. There's going to be enough people that are going to buy it. And sorry, I don't think fucking any of the big board members at Nintendo are not going to be able to feed their children tonight because fucking Mario Kart World is $10 cheaper. So it's a little bit ridiculous. I realize that while my initial argument was sound, when I looked into it a little bit deeper, I realized, you know, I shouldn't be defending this multi-billion-dollar company that doesn't give a shit about me. They never will. They never have. They don't give a shit about the big YouTubers. They don't care about Scott the Woz, the biggest Nintendo glazer there is. They don't care about any of them. They don't care about fucking any of these people because at the end of the day, they only care about profit. They only care about next quarter being bigger than the last. And I think the Wii U, in some ways, was a bit sobering for Nintendo in terms of realizing they can't just spit out anything and turn a profit. And because of that, they were forced to innovate with the Nintendo Switch. Now, I think the Nintendo Switch kind of boosted their ego to a point where they were like, you know what? We don't even need to innovate anymore. We can just do the Switch 2. And that's going to be okay. And we can charge $500 for it, and they're going to buy it, and that's fine. Even though I will say, to this day, $500 for the Switch 2 is warranted. That's a warranted price point. $500 for a new console in 2025, a portable console at that. A portable console that I personally played Cyberpunk on for the first time and didn't really run into any issues. A console that I can bring around with me and still play all the original Switch games. I mean, if you don't own a Switch 1 and you buy a Switch 2, you already have access to a whole library and you're getting access to newer games. I think the Switch 2 as a console is actually not a bad investment. I don't think it's a bad price either. $500, yeah, that makes sense. 5 years ago, the PS5 launched for $500. So that doesn't surprise me. I think $500 is actually just fine. I think that's an okay price for the console. But the video game prices are just outrageous. And, you know, I make the point with Mario Galaxy as well, because that, in my brain, was the absolute tipping point for me not wanting to defend Nintendo at all anymore. Because in 2011, not 2911, I don't know how to type. Wow, I still don't know how to type. In 2011, Super Mario Galaxy re-released for the Wii, on the same console it originally came out on, under Nintendo Selects, which is like a greatest hits where it's discounted because the game has finished its original run, and so they'd run it at a discount. So $19.99 was the price point in 2011. Now today, that would be $28.79. So $28.79 was how much you would pay in, you know, when you consider today's money. You know, if today was 2011, whatever, it would be about $28.79 to buy the game on Nintendo Selects. Now, at the same time, Mario Galaxy 2, I don't know the exact year. It also got a Nintendo Selects release, though, and it was also priced in $19.99. On the Wii U eShop, Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 both got re-released on the Wii U, on the eShop, for $19.99. And they were ports. They were HD ports, and they were ports. We are now getting HD ports again. A decade later, a decade and a half later, for Mario Galaxy 2, the newest game. Decade and a half later, for $69.99. For $70. If you combined the price, even for the Nintendo Selects together, it would still be less than $60. It would be $56 or $57 if you include the change. For both of them together, when considering inflation. So it would still be $10 cheaper when you consider inflation. But we're talking about when these games were pretty fucking new. These games aren't new. It's been 15 years. These games came out 15 and 18 years ago. Super Mario Galaxy 1 can legally get married. It can buy a gun. It's legally an adult. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a sophomore in high school. My girlfriend's little brother, who's 14, is fucking younger than Super Mario Galaxy 2. And he is in high school. Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Super Mario Galaxy 1 aren't brand new games. These aren't ports of games that just came out a few years ago or even 10 years ago. Mario Galaxy 2 came out 15 fucking years ago. And when you buy these games separately, they're charging $40 a pop. for them. I might be able to navigate to that where they're separate. I just clicked Switch 2, but regardless, I don't know if I can find them separate, but yeah, they're charging $49.99 for these games separately. Or sorry, $39.99. So that's still $40 a pop. That is double the fucking price that they were initially charging when these games were way newer. These games came out on the original Wii. These games came out when Obama was president. These games came out before Mortal Kombat 9. These games came out fucking, I mean, I can make 1,000 different examples of things that have happened in the real world to just show how long ago these games really came out. But regardless, there's no justification that I can make in my head for any reason to say that this is a reasonable price point. And if any of you guys in the comments are hearing me say this and you're thinking in your head, you know, that's actually not that bad, and you have a good reason, you have a reasonable argument to propose right now to me and to other people in the comments watching this video as to why $69.99 is a reasonable price that is okay to spend, then please tell me your case in the comments. Please tell me why Nintendo has to charge $69.99 for video games that came out 15 and 18 years ago. Please, I would really love to hear it. Maybe you'll have something valid, I don't know. But Nintendo's greed isn't just, oh, the port of Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2. No. No. So you know how I said you have access to the full Switch 1 library when you buy Switch 2? Now that's true. You can play Switch 1 games just fine. You can play Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild just fine. You know, with your original copy that you had for the Nintendo Switch. But if you want to pay $70 again for the same fucking game, but it's the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So now it runs a little better and it looks a little better. So we're going to charge 10 more than the initial release of a game that is 8 years old now. Of a game that is 8 years old now. We're going to charge more money. So that it runs and looks a little bit better. Now, I remember in 2020 when the PS5 came out and the idea of a cross-gen purchase continued. It did happen to Sony did it before with the PS Vita and select games, where if you bought it on the PS3 or PS4, you would also get it on the PS Vita. But they continued doing that. There's the cross-gen purchase that you can do on the PS5 and the PS4, where you'll be able to play those games in their enhanced state on the newer console if you buy the old game. So then once you eventually upgrade to the PS5, you'll have the game from the PS4, but better. Call of Duty games have this feature. Cyberpunk 2077 has this feature. I have a PS4 copy of Cyberpunk because when I put the disc in my PS5, it plays as if it were a PS5 game. It's the PS5 port of the game that I play off the PS4 disc. It's a possible thing. It's not something that Nintendo has to really put any fucking effort into, because the Nintendo Switch 2 is more powerful. So they don't have to do a whole bunch of reworks to get the game to look a little bit better and run a little bit better. They don't. That doesn't justify spending $70 fucking dollars on a game that came out 8 years ago. Now, I already own the game, so if I want to play the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, I can spend $10. Wow, I can spend $10 and I'll be able to play the Switch 2 version. How about make it free? How about make it free like game companies have been doing? How about make it free? There's plenty of Xbox 360 and Xbox One games that are still being sold in stores. I saw a copy of Skate 3 at the store not that long ago that says Xbox 360 and Xbox One on the cover. Also works with Xbox Series X, by the way. So they can do it. Xbox can do it. Microsoft, which Microsoft has greedy tendencies to, but Microsoft can do it. Sony can do it. Why the fuck can't Nintendo do it too? Why is Nintendo so special? Why, is it because they make these games first party, so they can just do that? Well, what about God of War Ragnarok? The PS4 version is cross-gen with the PS5. So, like, what are we doing here? It doesn't make sense. And Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom also got an upgrade pack. But the Switch 2 version, instead of being $70, is $80. Wow. Thanks, Nintendo, for still charging 10 more fucking dollars for a game that is a few years old, or a couple years old. I don't remember. It's 2023 or 2022. I don't remember the year this game came out. I actually don't have this game. Oh, that's not true. Actually, I do have this game. I bought the Switch 2 edition because I didn't have it. So I was like, you know what? I may as well just go for the Switch 2 edition rather than buy the Switch 1 version, since I want more things to play on my Switch 2. Now, with wanting to play more things on my Switch 2, I will say for one thing, sure, the Switch 2 release was better than the Switch 1 release. However, the Switch 1 release was kind of dog shit. If you were there for it, you'll know I was there for it. It's a little shit in terms of games to play. So, if you look at the website here, Street Fighter 6, this game already existed. And also, I want to make it clear, $40, the publishers of these games can set the price, and they're not charging 70, 80, whatever amount of money. They're charging a pretty reasonable amount for games that are previously released. So, $40, but it's actually on sale for half off. Street Fighter 6, we got, this game wasn't physical. I'm counting physical games. So we got Yakuza 0 for $50. We got Sonic X Shadow Generations for $50. We got, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S for $40. We got Hogwarts Legacy for $60. We got Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition for $70. We got Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition for $60. There was Split Fiction for $50, I believe. Now, the rest of these games were not physical. Civilization might have been. I don't think it was, though. Yeah, this is just a Switch. This wasn't physical. And then we got Mario Kart World for $80. This is one original brand new game that released the day the Switch 2 came out. Nintendo, this doesn't count. This isn't physical. It's not a game. We got Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, the welcome tutorial that they charged $10 fucking for. We got 2 re-releases at a higher price than the original. And that is it. We got one original game, and it was fucking Mario Kart when the Switch 2 launched. One game that you could only play on the Switch 2. Original and exclusive game. Everything else had released before, and notice how everything else was a pretty reasonable regular price, but no. And Cyberpunk 2077, this game is 5 years old, but it's the Ultimate Edition, so it comes with Liberty, I forget what it's called. Whatever. The expansion. It comes with the expansion. $70 is fair enough for a new game with the expansion, whatever. And yeah, Hogwarts Legacy is a few years old. They still charge $60 for it. That's fine. Like, it's a couple years old, but you know, it's better than the original Switch version, whatever. It's a new game, $60, that's fine. I get it. Hitman, $60, that's fine, whatever. But what's fucking crazy is Nintendo charging $80 for a game that came out. That was new, it's an original game, but they're charging $80 for it. It's the only game that came out with the Switch that was original, except the Welcome Tour, which they also charged money for. I'm not a sucker, I didn't buy this. I'm a sucker enough to buy the console bundle with Mario Kart World. I'm not a sucker enough to buy the fucking Welcome Tour. Are we being dead ass? And I know some of this is like, yeah, we knew this fucking 5 months ago. Why are we talking about it now? Well, I wanted to get my shit off. I want to talk about it because the Mario Galaxy is kind of the worst offender, in my opinion, of this shit. Except maybe Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, plus Jamboree TV. Now, I don't know to which extent Jamboree TV really adds. I don't think it adds that much. I don't think it adds enough to justify it being $20 more. I don't think it justifies a fucking party game. A party game being $80 fucking dollars. You're not going to play Mario Party by yourself. Don't tell me you are, because you're fucking not. I would rather blow my head off than play a Mario Party game alone. How often in the average Nintendo fan, just gamer's life, are we able to sit down with 4 people that all would like to play a party game? It doesn't happen that often. It happens, but not that often. It happens often enough to maybe justify, I don't know, maximum a $40 purchase on the game. Maybe. $80 though? Go fuck yourself. Hell no. It is not worth $80. And the upgrade pack, of course, is $20 because they think that the Jamboree TV was enough. They can charge. That's enough to charge $20. You know, let's do that. But hey, we're forgetting something here. Nintendo also is re-releasing fucking if I can find it. I can't find it. They're re-releasing Super Mario Wonder. They're doing that. Thanks for re-releasing another fucking game. Oh, here they are, right here. $39.99 for Super Mario Galaxy, $39.99 for Mario Galaxy 2. Why are we charging that much fucking money for games that came out so long ago? I mean, I can tell you right now, the vast majority of games that get re-released on consoles don't ever fucking cost that much. When it's just a port re-release of an older game, most game companies charge a little bit less than that. It's not that much though. I mean, $40, that's fucking crazy. Like, come on, get real. If I can, I guess I think I'm going a little bit too far now. Maybe. But Super Mario Wonder is also getting a re-release. That's fucking stupid. Not to mention, as you can see right here, these 3 upgrade packs. So there's the Mario Party one I already talked about. Then there's Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. That's plus Star-Crossed World. See, they always say, oh, well, but we're adding this, though, so that justifies the price. No, the fuck it doesn't. It doesn't add enough to really justify the price. And I think what really irks me about this is that I understood when they were bringing games over from the Wii U and re-releasing them on the original Switch. It made sense because of the fact that a lot of people didn't have a Wii U. There were still good games for the Wii U that people on the Switch would like to play. And I bought Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Bowser's Fury was not nearly significant enough to warrant like a whole brand new price point. But if I remember correctly, and I might not, I think that game actually launched at $49.99. But even if it did launch at $59.99, that was still the regular $60 price point that we had been accustomed to. And the game wasn't that old whenever it re-released. It was like 3 years old. So that kind of made sense. And also it was a game that a lot of people hadn't experienced before because the Wii U didn't sell that well. But when we are charging money, $20 for an upgrade pack on a game that released initially already for the original Switch, and then we're charging more money to play the slightly enhanced version, that is a cheap fucking cash grab. That is fucking ridiculous. What they're doing is they're attempting to make a big profit off of basically no fucking work for Nintendo. And that is ridiculous. As you can see right here, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond for the original Switch is launching for $60. Now, Metroid Prime 4 for the Switch 2 is launching at $70. Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. Because I have a Switch 2. I'm gonna want to buy the Switch 2 version, naturally, and Nintendo knows this. So they're gonna charge just $10 more. Aw, thanks. Thanks for charging more fucking money for the same game, but it's gonna look a little better. Oh, I can use the mouse control. I can use the mouse control on the Switch controller. The mouse control is kind of cool. It's kind of uncomfortable, though. I don't want to use that shit. Oh, yeah, Mario Tennis, by the way. Here's your tennis sports game. Here's $70. Go fuck yourself. I think, and I don't want to get off too far on a tangent, but I think in general, the sports game epidemic, as I'd like to say, is kind of ridiculous. Yeah, let's release the same fucking football game every single year for the next 30 years, and each year we're going to charge full price for it. You know what the difference is? The roster's a little different. What? Oh my god, that justifies the whole new price point. That's fucking ridiculous. I think live service at this point would make sense for a game like that. But I digress. I won't get into that, but my point is that sports games are the same shit every year, and they charge a shitload of money, and then they end up in the bargain bin the next year. And they love to just collect dust at thrift stores, and video game stores, and Walmarts, and GameStops, and it's just sad. But my point is, Mario Tennis Fever being $70 fucking is ridiculous. Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 edition being $80 is fucking ridiculous. That is stupid. That's too much money for not original new game. And even so, original new game for Mario Kart, yeah, that's not $80 either. And I honestly don't understand what Nintendo is even thinking with these price points, because why are we charging $80 for the new Mario Kart, but we're charging $70 for Metroid Prime 4? That's kind of weird. I feel like Metroid Prime 4 is like probably cost more to develop, and also is a little bit more of like a gamer's game, if that makes sense. It's not like the casual gamer experience. So I don't know why they would charge less. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining that it's less money than the other game. I'm bitching that it's that Mario Kart World launched for $80. That's fucking dumb. And it's just, yeah, I mean, really the straw that broke the camel's back for me is the Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2 being $69.99. I mean, can we really get real? I mean, I just, there's no universe where that price point is justified. And I have played both of these games, and I want to say, I fucking love both of these games. I adore both of these games. I know we're getting towards the end of the video, and I didn't say this at the beginning, but I love Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2. They're some of my favorite games ever. I remember whenever Mario Galaxy 2 came out, I was 6 years old, and I was selling different things at a garage sale because I wanted Mario Galaxy 2 so badly. And I remember going to GameStop and getting the game, and I was so excited to play it. And I loved it. I loved it so much, and I love the first Super Mario Galaxy so very much as well. They're both fantastic games that are really fun, and they're amazing. And I am partially glad that they're getting re-released so that new, younger gamers can experience these games and hopefully get something out of it in the way that I did. But at the same time, it's sad to see a company that I really loved and adored growing up becoming just worse and worse and more corporate-driven garbage that is so very much anti-consumer. I mean, why are we just continuously re-releasing these games at such ridiculous price points? It just baffles me. And every year, Nintendo just kind of gets worse. And it's sad. Nintendo, has had a big history of just kind of being a little shitty. But it just doesn't get better. They just kind of get worse. And I really feel like I needed to talk about it when it comes to Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 because this is egregious. This is ridiculous. I think it is fucked up that they are charging this much money. And it also kind of circles back to the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection that they released in 2021 because they released that for $60 and they released it saying, hey guys, we are only going to sell this for like 6 months or however long it was. After that, we are not going to sell it anymore. We're not going to make more copies. It's going to be pulled off the fucking eShop. So they did that just to make it so now all 3 games that are part of that collection are available. So they created a false scarcity that would be remedied later on and charged people for it so that they could make a quick profit on nostalgia. And Nintendo is showing more and more and more that what they have to work with is profiting off of nostalgia. That's not to say Nintendo hasn't had good first-party titles, because they still do to this day. I really hope Metroid Prime 4 is good. From what I've heard, Donkey Kong Bonanza is pretty good, and that's great. I'm glad to see that they made like an original Donkey Kong concept that people like. That's awesome, and I'm happy for that, and that game is a pretty reasonable price. So that's cool. But how about we get more of that and less of what's on the screen right now? Because I am honestly so fucking sick and tired of being taken advantage of as a fan. And as much as I am proud that I have enough value in my money to not constantly fall for this shit, I got the Switch 2, and I got Tears of the Kingdom because I didn't have it before. And I got Cyberpunk because I had never played Cyberpunk before, so I wanted to experience it. And I got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 Plus 4 on the Switch as well because I wanted to play it on the Switch. And it, you know, it runs great. I love the Switch 2 as a console. It's great. Every game that I've played has been enjoyable, but every game that I've played kind of already existed except Mario Kart World. And it's just disheartening to see what Nintendo has become. I'm not crying. My nose is a little stuffy. I'm having slight allergies as, you know, we're entering the fall season here. But yeah. So I really wanted to talk about it and kind of disavow it. If you're a big Nintendo fan that doesn't really care or has a defense of Nintendo, then, you know, let me know in the comments and tell me about it. If you agree with me, then you can also tell me about that if you want. If you think this video is awesome and wonderful, then tell me that. If you think it's dog shit and poop, tell me that. I want to hear other people's opinions. I'm very interested. But yeah, my point is I feel like I'm pretty good at not being bent over and fucked by Nintendo. You know, I've divulged a little bit in their shit, but not too bad. And it saddens me to say it, but I think I'm gonna have to skip the Mario Galaxy plus Mario Galaxy 2 game. I might have to just wait for a discount on Mario Galaxy 2 since I already have 3D All-Stars. So I already have Super Mario Galaxy. Because I love these games and I'd like to replay them, but I just, the idea of them being $70 is crazy. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. God of War 2 video still coming soon, for those of you that have been waiting on that. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.